As you join us today, we encourage you to reflect on the land that you're on and its history. We're located on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and the Haudenosaunee.
The territory is within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon, One Pen Belt Covenant and is home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We are grateful to work on this land.
Bell is a proud sponsor of the Toronto International Film Festival and the Sarah's Dock International Film Festival and the Didn't Even Have to Hire a Babysitter International Film Festival. Watch TIFF anywhere with Bell.
As a woman filmmaker, I see us doing what we love to do. I see us making it happen. Every day I see us making dreams come true. There's room for all of us, and the more we believe that, the more room we can create for each other.
You're worth it. Self-worth is a journey, not a destination. A journey we as women take together. And for 50 years, we've celebrated the worth of every woman. Here's to the next 50, L'Oreal Paris.
Visa is proud to support TIFF and small businesses across Canada.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toronto International Film Festival's Industry Conference. My name is Ravi Srinivasan, and I'm an international programmer here at TIFF. Before we get to our rising stars today, I do want to thank our lead sponsor, Bell, our major sponsors, RBC, L'Oreal Paris, and Visa, and our major industry supporters, Telefilm Canada and Ontario Creates. IMDb Pro is proud to be the media partner for TIFF Rising Stars. It is my great pleasure to introduce and moderate this conversation with the 2021 TIFF Rising Stars and hear about their experiences on their latest projects and what's coming up next for them in their bright careers. Please welcome this year's TIFF Rising Stars. We have Aruj Azim, Emmy Ferreira, Thomas Anthony Olajide, Philip Lewitsky, Karam Taher, Amber Midthunder, Demetrius Schuster Kolamatangi, and Jaden Michael. Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
Hi.
Oh, good.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to everyone who is tuning in. I want to start off by, if we could go around the table and just tell us about what film you're in at the festival this year, film or television series. We'll start with, let's start with Aruj.
So I'm Rouge, and I'm in the movie Quickening by Hayao.
Great. Emma?
Hi, I'm Emma Pereira. I am in the film Learn to Swim, directed by Tyrone Tommy.
Great. Amber?
I'm Amber Midthunder. I'm in The Wheel, directed by Steve Pink.
Philip?
My name is Philip, and I'm in the feature film Wildhood, directed by Brett and Hannah.
And your film is currently premiering right now. It's on, and you'll have to sort of leave the chat a little early to get to the Q&A. Always interesting times during the festival. Thomas, what's your film at the festival?
Yeah, my name is Thomas Anthony Legerdae. I'm in Learn to Swim, directed by Tyrone Tommy.
Great. We have 2 rising stars from Tyrone's film Learn to Swim, which is also premiering this evening. Demetrius, tell us about your project.
My name's Demetrius, and I'm in a TV series called The Panthers, created by Tom Hearn and Alfred Norfina.
Great. Karam?
Hi, I'm Karam Tahir. I'm in Farha, directed by Dareen Salam.
And Jaden?
Hi, my name is Jaden Michael. I play Colin Kaepernick in the Colin in Black and White series, which first 3 episodes are premiering tonight, and I'm stuck in New York, so I can't watch it.
It's too bad, but yeah, it's going to be a super exciting premiere, and yeah, we can't wait for all of the premieres that are happening and coming up. So I want to start off. We'll start off with Philip. When you first approached, this film, or the script came to you, what made you say yes to your project and to all your specific projects? We'll go around the table.
Yeah, so this one was quite interesting, actually, because it was the only script that me and my mother have ever read together. And we were doing a family trip, and we had a long drive ahead of us, and I was sent the script, and she ended up reading it out, the entire thing, start to finish. And by the end of it, we were both in tears, and it was just this really special moment between the 2 of us, and the movie has a lot to do with the mother-son relationship. And so it's just this combination of signs that I just knew by the end I needed to tell this story, and yeah.
That's a beautiful personal story. Thanks for sharing that. Thomas, what about you? What made you say yes to Learn to Swim, and how was that how did that thought process go for you?
Well, I'd actually kind of grown with the script in a way. I had worked with Tyrone Tommy before in a short film called Mariner that was also selected by TIFF in 2016. And we were just coincidentally in the Canadian Film Centre together. And so we did the short film version of Learn to Swim while at the CFC, which then got developed into what is now the feature film of Learn to Swim. So I've kind of been with this project since its inception. And so it's always just kind of, for the past few years, been a part of my life. There wasn't really a point where I was like, yes, I will do it. It was just a point where it was now a part of my everyday consciousness. And that's kind of how I was, that's how I started with the project.
And Emma, was that sort of how the process began with you? Or, why did you say yes to Learn to Swim?
Yeah, I auditioned for the project, and it came to me later than it did Thomas, but it kind of happened very cosmically. I was really attracted to the character of Selma. She's larger than life and passionate and grounded in what she wants in her career and how she relates to music, which I really loved. And then as well, in talking with Tyrone coming in and his vision for her and for the feature as a whole. And then also just the fact that I had sung a song in my audition that was it's Paloma Negra by Chavela Vargas, which is like a really deep cut. And then when I got the callback and I got the script, it was in the script, which was just like so incredibly special. And so we jammed a lot on that. And then it was just I was like,
that's great.
We'll do this, yeah.
Aruj, this is Quickening is your first feature film role. Can you talk to us about, it's always a big step, you're going to plunge into your first feature and you want to make the right decision. Can you talk to us about, why this was the right fit for you?
Mostly because the movie is about fitting in and who hasn't felt out of place before. And it was a movie about a girl who was basically a child of diaspora, and that's me. I mean, as most immigrants can attest to, you have no idea where you fit in. You don't know where you belong. And it seemed like the entire movie was so closely linked to parts of myself, and it was an easy yes. I mean, the character was very different from me, but the story was very similar and something I felt a lot of people could relate to, not just me.
Okay. And Amber, can we hear about a little bit about your film and why you chose to get involved with the project?
Yeah, I read the script a couple years before I ever knew that I would be a part of it, and I remember thinking that it was just such a beautiful story, and it was so simple, and I think that that's really, like, those are some of my favorites. And I remember being like thinking like, oh, this is so great and some actress is going to have so much fun, and then last year during the pandemic it kind of came back and looked like it was a real thing, and you know, the question was posed like, would you be interested, would you want to be involved? And at that point, like, it had been like it was such an easy yes.
Right. Demetrius, what about you?
I'll be honest, when I first got offered the role, I said yes, just because it was like an acting gig, I guess. It wasn't until I jumped on and sort of started doing the research and talking to, I guess, everyone involved in the production, and I guess my family as well, seeing that the film is about Polynesians and the racial, what's it called? The racial, oh, sorry, I'm so nervous. But yeah, just yeah, just all the, I guess, racial problems that Polynesians were facing in New Zealand. So yeah, it wasn't until then that was sort of the motivator, and I was just real keen to get stuck into it.
Right. And Karan?
I was actually interested in trying the acting experience because it's my first film, not knowing that the film was actually about Palestine, and it was it's based on a true story. So after I got into it, and after I figured out that it's based on a true story that's happening a long time ago, and now I actually got excited to be in it more.
And Jaden, you know, obviously a very unique situation, stepping into a role of a very public figure and very current, timely, you know, subject. You know, can you talk about taking on that role?
I've been acting for 15 years now. It's kind of crazy. So it came to me very naturally. It was sort of normal audition process. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, similar to Amber, wow, someone's going to have the time of their life on this one. Colin has always been a role model for me and someone I've looked up to. And I've always said, you know, if you're going to be, you know, an actor, or if you're going to be, you know, an athlete, you know, you should use your platform for change. You should use your platform to motivate progress in society. So, you know, it was once I was offered the project, it was like, of course I'm going to do it. But I was really, really, really afraid. I was like, Colin could at any point just be like, hey man, you did terrible. that was a big worry.
Right. So Phil, we'll start with you again, and after, feel free to jump in if you know, you've got an experience or you want to, you know, the question speaks to you. But you know, there are probably a lot of young artists who are watching who, you know, you're at this amazing point in your career, and you know, you're getting recognition and the roles are coming to you. Was there a pivotal moment in your career where you felt like, you know, a real like breakthrough had occurred? And I know it's for a few of you, it's your first time feature, but perhaps, you know, you dabbled in shorts or other, you know, theater, things like that. But Philip, can you talk about, you know, was there a breakthrough moment where, you know, maybe for a while you thought about, I don't know if this is for me, but then something just sort of clicked with you?
Yeah, I think that I've always just tried to stay really true to myself and to the stories that I want to tell. And even if it makes a lot of sense money-wise to grab something, or if it if it makes a lot of sense for your team and people are pushing you to do things that just don't really feel right for you, and it's not the stories that you want to tell, the things that you want to put out there, I've tried my best to stay away from those. And so as far as like a breakthrough goes, I guess it's just all I can really do is just try and honor the character and the story and do the best that I can, and that helps to relieve a little bit of the pressure, because obviously that this project has crossed my path for a reason, and I don't believe in coincidences. So I was meant to tell this story, and so whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And so, you know, I find that a lot of people I talk to, there's so much pressure, and obviously it's easy for me to fall into that too, but just to trust in yourself, trust in your hires, trust in the process, that everything will be exactly how it needs to be.
Great. Emma, I know that you have a rich theater background. I'm wondering if, was there, did you have a breakthrough moment, or, just, where you realized that, this was for you, and, things were starting to sort of turn your way? Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yep. I was going to say, I feel like it's right now. Like I come from theater, and I'm young, and I've done some short films, and I've made some really cool things with my friends. And Learn to Swim is definitely kind of my biggest undertaking film-wise thus far. And so kind of like Philip was saying, I feel very much like I was meant to do this, and everything that's happening now feels like kind of a result of that belief. And so, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to what's to come. And I mean, this whole process has been amazing, and kind of, reminding myself of why I do what I do and why I love what I do. And I'm just excited to keep doing it. So.
Right. Great. I was thinking about, you're at this point, you're at TIFF, and you're playing other festivals as well. And, you probably all dabbled in, made short films like Emma's speaking about, working with friends and doing a lot of stuff for free and things like that. And I'm wondering, how do you guys cope with, where you have your friends or contemporaries who you sort of see them, getting like these amazing roles that, maybe you're not quite at that level yet. Like for people listening, for artists listening who just haven't hit the roles that they're striving for, and they're watching, their colleagues, sort of be at the level they are. How do you folks, deal with that and, and just push through to move on? Does anyone have any sort of experience with that? The kind of like the keeping up with the Joneses type of thing. Anyone speak on that?
I don't mean to go first, but
Please.
I'm kind of going first. It kind of goes back to what Philip says about everything happens for a reason, and your time will come. But I think more importantly, it's important to be yourself. Find your voice. Find what stories you want to tell. Watch films. Attend stuff like this where you get to meet new people and build new relationships. And eventually through those relationships, through your enlightenment, through of understanding what works for you, your process, really breaking it down, all of those things build on top of each other in order to create, the best version of yourself. So when you are approached with, that big bang project, whatever that breakthrough project is for you, you have all of the tools you need in order to attack it. Because I know personally, if Colin in Black and White came on my table 2 years earlier or 3 years earlier, I would not be able to give the same sort of performance. I just learned so much.
Anyone else want to share any thoughts on that?
I was going to say I don't have as much of an acting background as most of my peers here, but I was going to say it's very easy to compare yourself to other people. And I mean, I do it a lot. I'm pretty sure everyone does it a lot. Social media and other things like that don't help. But when you compare yourself to others, it kind of clouds your judgment onto how far you've actually come. So the best part of kind of being on your own journey, like Philip said, don't believe in coincidences. You've achieved certain things because you have the power to do so. So I feel like comparisons are something that can really hold you back. And that's something that I've learned recently. I don't know if this will help anyone else out there, but you just have to kind of keep your eyes on yourself and be like, wow, I've actually accomplished this much. And it doesn't matter what he or she has accomplished. Like, I mean, it's great, but I have my own accomplishments and my own journey to be proud of. So I don't know if that, yeah, my 2 cents.
No, that's fantastic. Anybody else want to speak on that a little bit?
I do. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of basic, but there truly is room for everybody, you know, like creativity is not something that is so linear or black and white. And with like, as time goes on, there's like new media platforms and people are finding different ways to create things together. And there's no formula and there's really no, I think, sort of way of gauging whatever success is, you know, as long as you're creating and you're happy, that's all that matters. And especially when we're talking about like using platform for change, I also don't feel like we have time to not support each other.
Yeah, totally. I'll go to what, you know, as you've sort of been moving up and working, what do you feel is the best piece of advice that you've received from either fellow actors or filmmakers, or, you know, even, you know, maybe people in your family or your circle? Let's start with Demetrius. Is there any great piece of advice that you've, you know, kind of kept with you and sort of keeps you on track, sort of thing?
Yeah, this is the first piece of advice I thought of, and I've sort of kept it with me ever since I heard it. So I haven't got it from anyone in the industry. It was actually from my uncle. And it goes, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say this, but he said, you got to hold your balls. And then I know this sounds like real random. And when you first told me, I was like, what are you up to? But then he explained it and he's like, you know, wherever you go in life, whatever you do, don't let anybody walk over you. You know, you just be you, stay true to your values, and you hold your balls. And I was like, sweet. So I took that into the industry and sort of kept that close to my heart. I'm really holding my balls and just trying to stay, you know, stay true to myself through my work, through the people I try to inspire through my work. And yeah, so everyone hold your balls.
That's great. Karam, I imagine the best piece of advice would be different from Demetrius, but has anyone you know, provided any insight to you that you sort of kept with you to, you know, as you're on your journey as an artist?
Yes, it's definitely different than Demetrius. They always tell me that I should always try to be myself and never change for anyone, and work hard on myself.
Right. And so, you know, you do hear that a lot, and not even just in the film space or the artist space. You know, have either of you dealt with moments where you felt where you had to make a decision to like take a role or, you know, take something on that, you know, you were going to be against yourself and you realize like, you know, I'm not going to make that decision? Have either of you been faced with that in terms of, you know, perhaps, you know, as Philip mentioned, you know, maybe taking on a role because you needed it for financial security, which I think is a lot that, you know, that artists have to consider. Can anyone speak to that experience of just, you know, having to turn something down because they felt that it was sort of against what they were trying to do as an artist?
I already started. So, I haven't really been in that position just yet, where I've been offered a role or sort of given a role that doesn't really align with my values. But yeah, I think moving forward in my career now, seeing that, you know, a bit of like the pandas have got a bit of recognition and sort of people are seeing my work, I would hope that in the future I stick to, staying true to myself and hold my values high and just, yeah.
Can anyone speak on experience about sort of, you know, having to turn anything down, or just sort of that experience of, you know, staying true to yourself? If not, we can move on to something else. But I thought it might be pretty valuable for other artists who are watching who, you know, might face that scenario.
I can.
Yeah, please.
I mean, specifically, you know, I'm Indigenous, and so Indigenous representation is really important to me. That's probably the most important thing to me about my career in the film industry. So I've specifically not played, I've intentionally not played a lot of Indigenous specific roles, because, you know, what we do is cool because as artists, it's fulfilling to us personally, but also when you're doing things that other people see and it leaves impressions, or you're representing, you know, your culture, that also matters. You know, that's a cool responsibility that each of us get to have. And yeah.
No, that's great advice. Philip, I want to ask you, you know, I know we'll let you get out of here probably after this one. Sort of the counter of the previous question, is there something that you've learned, you know, so far in your career on your own, and you know, now you pass it on to others, or will pass it on to others as a form of advice for actors looking to sort of get to the level that you're at?
So I've been very fortunate and blessed to have such an incredible family. I've got 7 siblings, 8 including myself, 2 incredible parents, and they've really taught me everything that I know, everything that I am. And one of the biggest things that we are very solid in as a unit is that no matter what, we always come back to each other. And I feel like that just happened naturally for me. But if you don't have that, and whether that be family or something that's not blood family, it's so important to have that support system around you, because just mental health wise, this industry can be pretty difficult. And so if you're not taking care of yourself mentally, and that stands true with just being in your power and learning to say no, knowing what's best for you, because at the end of the day, you're the only one responsible for you. And so if you have a team of people around you who are telling you certain things that aren't in alignment with who and what you are, you have to be strong enough to say no. And this goes back to even projects that are offered to you, or the opportunities that are there. I feel like this is my belief, but I feel like sometimes those come around as almost a test. And if you are weak in those moments, and if you take those opportunities for the wrong reasons, then you won't get it back twofold. If you were actually truthful and honoring of yourself in those moments, it will come back to you. And so there's no such thing as being desperate, because that will happen in the future. It's going to happen, as long as you just trust the process and have that support system behind you at all times, and take care of yourself always.
Thanks, Philip. That's incredible advice, and I think rings true in all kinds of different industries outside of even film. Philip, we'll let you get back to your screening. You have a Q&A coming up for Wildhood. Thank you so much for skipping the premiere and joining us and sharing some wisdom with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care. Thomas, I want to ask you, if is there any, have you learned something on your own that, you know, you would pass down to others who seek advice from you once, you know, you get to that point, something that, some wisdom to pass on that you've discovered?
I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if I'm someone who would actually give advice to other actors, to be honest. I mean, if an actor were to approach me specifically about something that they were contemplating, I would do my best to listen and share my lived experience with them. But I would never kind of purport to know what an actor does or doesn't need. I find it's not really my place to give advice, to be honest. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. Absolutely. Because I think, a lot of people in positions where, you get asked, how do I, what do I need to do? And you don't want to give an answer, and they follow that advice and it's not working for them. And you're sort of put in a tough spot. So yeah, I think that's a super valid answer.
Well, that's the thing too, is because there is no, what I have learned thus far, both in theater and in screen work, is that there is actually no formula. And so what has worked for one person may not work for the other. And there are so many different ways that people have accessed this industry, and at totally different points in one's career. I mean, I was under the impression that you needed to be a teenager or in your early 20s to break into this industry. And once you had passed that, that was the advice I got. That was the kind of prevailing idea that was kind of passed down to me. And I've learned that, that hasn't been true to my experience. So I think it's important that people's journeys are allowed to grow at their own time. So and so if someone were to approach me with something specific, I would share an experience, but otherwise I wouldn't speak.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. Does anybody have any advice that they've learned on their own that they want to share, or we can also move on unless someone has something. Okay.
I can jump in if.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah, please do.
Yeah. I guess on the job that I just did with the Panthers, something that that I just want to share is real generic, but it's just you got to believe in yourself. I guess I came in, real not really too confident, real questioning everything I was gonna do, like, oh, should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Type of thing. But yeah, you just gotta trust yourself, believe that what you're doing is the right thing, trust your instincts, and believe that you can make that magic and do the best you can, leave it all out there, and if it pays off, well, it will pay off if you're believing in yourself, you're putting in the work. So yeah, that's just my advice, to just believe in yourself, and everything will sort of fall into place.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question from the audience. I'll get to that. I mean, yeah, Demetrius, I think that's really great advice. Like, self-doubt can be the biggest blocker for anybody. And, even just as a programmer, like, I was like, is this film actually good? Did I pick the right film? That kind of thing. And you just have to, you have to believe that you are at this point because of, your talent and your ability. And, you can't start doubting yourself at that point. So we have a question from the audience. Do you all have a dream director or collaborator you'd love to work with? Let's start with Karan.
I actually don't.
Okay. Are there any filmmakers that you admire or inspire you at all, or you're sort of working to sort of build to get to that point?
Yeah.
Okay. Jaden, how about you?
That question was asked in my mind when I started hearing Morse code. The main one that my brain is screaming at me right now is Kurosawa, but unfortunately he's not with us anymore. So that's probably not going to happen. Maybe another. A collaborator, though, I'm a huge fan of Kelvin Harrison Jr. I would die to work on a project with him. I'm a huge fan of his.
He was a Rising Star 2019 and was on this same panel. So yeah, that's really cool.
I'm following his footsteps. No.
How about you, Emma?
You're on mute again.
Still on mute. You're still on mute.
Okay, you can hear me now, right? Just making sure. Okay. Dream collaborator or director. Jaden, you're living my dream. Ava DuVernay would be a dream. Mia Hansen-Love, I really love her work. Darius Martyr as well, just did Sound of Metal. Like, that was, so wide range. But also anything that happens next.
That's great. Yeah. Aruj, how about you?
I am all over the place. I swear we had some like icebreaker questions where we had to pick a guilty pleasure, and I said 3 things and we had to pick one. So I have no idea. I really like action film directors. I love action movies. Yeah, mostly that. I mean, yeah.
Well,
Like
I think it's about time we had a Pakistani female action star. So yeah, that would be great. Demetrius, what about you? Any filmmakers or collaborators you'd love to work with?
I'd love to work with Edgar Wright. He came on as one of our guest speakers. I've just been like the biggest fan of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I watch that like 3 or 4 times a year, every year. I just love that movie. It's just, one of those ones. But yeah, I guess collaborator. I'd like to work with Denzel Washington, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie. He's been my hero. Training Day is like another favorite movie of all time. And then being Polynesian, I have to chuck in Uncle Dwayne Johnson. So yeah, but just grateful really to work with anybody.
That also sounds like a great action film. Demetrius, Denzel, and Dwayne. Amber, how about you? Any dream collaborators or filmmakers you'd love to work with?
I always say Derek Cianfrance or Scott Cooper, both directors that I just love their movies. I don't feel like they have one that I've seen that I don't like. I'm not obsessed with. But honestly, I have some friends who are doing really cool stuff right now, and it's so great watching them. Like right now, Sterling Harjo has the show Res Dogs on FX. And like I would die to be on his show. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they're watching. And Thomas, what about you?
The directors that come to mind right now are Steve McQueen and Ava DuVernay and Barry Jenkins. Those are
very cool.
Yeah,
very solid.
Ava was my second pick, and then Steve McQueen was my second pick for acting. So we're on the same vibe.
Very nice. So I want to ask a question about process, and when you're having a bad day on set, and things aren't clicking for you emotionally, what do you do to sort of get out of that rut or get out of your own head? What are some things that you've tried and tested? And for those who are watching, who are fellow actors who get in that space as well, and feel free to jump in if anyone has any experience or remedies.
I mean, for me, to be honest, I feel like acting has very little to do with how you feel. Ironically, it matters less actually how you feel, and more about, for me, staying true to the realities of the scene, of the scenario, to simplify the process and go, what is this particular scene asking of me? Is it me going and grabbing a cup of water, drinking it, and putting it down on the table? Is that the scene? Okay, well then, can I just open myself up as much as possible to those given circumstances and accept that I actually don't know what the scene is going to be. I actually don't know how I'm going to do it. I will kind of figure it out as I go along, and I might be able to understand it in retrospect. Upon reflection, I can go, oh, okay, so that's what that was. But when I find myself caught in the process, it's usually because I'm trying to control. I'm trying to control too much, and there's some kind of admission and some kind of letting go that needs to happen. Most of the time, it's that I don't know what's coming next, and there's no way of knowing what's coming next. So get nestled, get kind of like comfortable in that uncertainty, and let the process take you where it needs to go, as opposed to trying to dictate where the process needs to go.
Right. Anybody else want to speak on, if you're caught in a rut on set, or, you feel like maybe performance isn't up to your best, how do you shake it and sort of, kick it? Any advice on that from anyone? Feel free to just jump in.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
You're really weird because you're not in person. So do I raise my hand? It's really odd. But I had some really hard days on set because I was, not because of anyone I was working with or anything like that. The team was beautiful. It was literally just because I was a full-time university student. And I would have to finish set days at like 3 a.m., get driven home from Toronto to Burlington, and then do my statistics homework, and then have that handed in, and then wake up in the morning again and go to set. So I just found something that really helped me was how convenient acting is, because you get to lose yourself in someone else. And I would just sit by myself, because it can get really, really hectic on set. There's so many people, everyone has a role to play, and it all helps. Everyone's role helps everyone else, but at the same time, I feel like I am an empath, so I take on people's feelings. So I just need to, what really helps me was excluding myself, and just for a minute, just sitting by myself and just breathing. Sorry, I'm in it. I'm oh my God. And just breathing and being okay, everything that I have to worry about needs to just subside. And I would take some really deep breaths and be okay, what is Sheila going through? And it was really, really convenient having someone else's life to kind of tap into, to kind of be okay, I'm not a Rouge anymore. I don't have statistics due tonight. And I'm going to a party because I'm Sheila, and that's what I'm doing. So that was really helpful for me, taking some breaths and really taking advantage of being an actor and falling into someone else's life.
Great. Would anyone else like to jump in and share thoughts on how to shake a rut on set if things aren't going well for you?
I unmuted myself before I started speaking. It's an accomplishment. I find that whenever I am kind of in my head or getting frustrated, it's normally because of sneaking imposter syndrome that's somehow manifesting itself in my work. And so oftentimes it's just really like Arush said, kind of removing myself, giving myself the space to feel what I'm feeling and be honest with what I'm feeling with myself. Because if I don't confront it, it will not go away and it'll just disrupt the work. And really reminding myself that I'm there for a reason and I am deserving of being in that space and acting with these people that I really admire, because that can get in the way of, what you want to do. And so, just kind of building a rapport with yourself where you believe yourself in those moments, because it comes back to love at the end of the day. But I often find that it's me just getting in my own way. So just reminding myself that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and I deserve to be doing it, I find is helpful.
Great. We're going to jump to a couple of questions from the audience here. Are there any films you watched growing up that inspired you to become an actor or / creator?
This is actually a pretty cool story. It actually gives you some good background on me too. My mom put me into acting she put me into modeling. I don't know what she saw, but she put me into modeling when I was 2. And I kind of did that for a while. And then I started doing Nickelodeon stuff and skits. And that was 3 years old. And I kept on doing acting stuff. And I, to be honest, had no clue what I was doing. Sometimes when my friends at school would say oh, I saw you on TV. How'd you get there? I'd say oh, I snuck into your closet and then I jumped inside your TV. And that was partly because I didn't even know how I was getting on TV. But I remember I was watching this film called Imagine That with Yara Shahidi and Nicole Parker and Eddie Murphy. And I love this movie. I watched the film maybe 1,000 times in a year. And there was something about it. There was something about watching another kid on film and watching sort of their process and watching their character arc that sort of clicked for me. And that's when I kind of realized, I was like, oh, wow, acting is there's a lot more depth than what I was imagining. You're not just standing in front of a camera. And I think I was 7. I was turning 8 on the TV show that I was doing at the time. And I remember it was just something about watching Imagine That and then doing the TV show right after. And I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. I'm going to totally just study more. I started going to film festivals, which was weird because they don't tend to have ratings. And I was 8. So I saw some pretty interesting stuff, but it was part of the experience.
How about Karim? Are there any films that inspired you to become, an actor? Do you remember those moments when you were younger?
I like coming of age films. For example, I like the film Empire of the Sun and Little Miss Sunshine, which is kind of close to the movie that I was in, like coming of age film.
Right, great. Anybody else want to share a film that really inspired them, or was the sort of moment where that's what I want to do? Anybody have that moment with a film or television series?
Mine wasn't really a film. It was one of the co-stars that I worked with, Beulah Kwali. He played Ice in the Panthers. So back when I was in intermediate, I think you guys call it elementary, he used to come to my primary school and do like weekly sessions with us, just like workshops and stuff when he was still doing working at a theater company. And that was the first time I sort of saw a brown face, Polynesian face doing acting. And that was just like a real oh, okay, that's pretty weird. Seeing that, because I always enjoyed performing growing up, but I didn't come from an acting background. I just liked, performing, being on a stage, doing little productions or skits and stuff. So yeah, being able to see this dude come in to our school and he looks like me, he's talking like me, he acts like us, and then I was just like, oh, maybe I can take this passion of mine or this little hobby and I can do it, and that was sort of the spark for me. It wasn't really too much any TV series or film, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point, Demetrius, and it's a massive moment for I think all people of color. I certainly remember the moment where I was like, whoa. This person's on a stage and commanding it and owning it, and where you realize I can do something like that. I don't have to be a doctor or a mathematician.
Yeah, and it was really buzzy as well because then 10 years later I got to work with him on the Panthers, so it was just a full circle. So yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Anybody else have a similar story like that with Demetrius just shared, that sort of moment of sort of seeing somebody like you on stage or screen for the first time?
For me, it was, I've already said this as my guilty pleasure, but Aquamarine is a movie that's my favorite movie. Thank you, Emma. It's incredible. And I was like, I get to, wait, so if I'm an actor, I can be a mermaid? Are you, that's what I thought, when I was really young. I was like, wait, so if I'm an actor, I could just put on a tail and just be a mermaid? And that's that. And then it slowly started to become, I live in a suburb. So growing up, everyone goes trick-or-treating for Halloween and stuff, and you dress up. I mean, you do that everywhere, but I just meant there's a lot of white people and not a lot of people that look like me. So I think we were all deciding, me and a group of girls, what we were going to be. And they were like, oh, well, you'll just be Jasmine. And I was like, well, I like The Little Mermaid. Hello, mermaid fanatic. I'm not being Jasmine. I like The Little Mermaid. They were like, no, but there's no space. You have to do that. And I was kind of like, okay, then I'll just make space. I'll find a role. And that's where I kind of got into this mentality that if no one else is doing that, I'll make space so that if someone else is like me and wants to be a mermaid, then they're going to see a brown mermaid. Hopefully that's going to be the highlight of my career. If anyone's watching this, cast me as a mermaid. And yeah, that was my
That's amazing. That's great. And I mean, yeah, that's I think an experience that a lot of people have of sort of being typecasted even for a trick or treating. It's pretty absurd. Anybody else want to share sort of that kind of moment? Don't want to leave anyone out if they want to share.
I think seeing America Ferrera in The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants way back when. I haven't watched that movie in a long time, so I don't know how it holds up. but I do remember her experience, her personal experience, and her speaking Spanish in that film, and her being the incredible America Ferrera. It was definitely a moment where I was like, oh, I see myself in you. Yeah, but also Selma Hayek's performance in Frida was like, that was the moment where I was like, whoa, that I want to do that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So we got about 5 minutes left, and I'm gonna leave the last 5 minutes. If we could go around, and if you could tell us why we should see your project, your film, your series in 140 characters or less. So quick, one sentence, why you should see it, why audiences tuning in should search out your film either during the festival or afterwards. Karim, we'll start with you.
My film is, again, as I said, it's a real story. It still happens right now. It's about a 14-year-old Palestinian girl that is seeking to go to the city and educate herself in the school. But instead, she gets locked in her pantry room for like days, seeking it, and she changed her mind. Like, she wants to survive and to leave the pantry room. She got locked after the war that had happened in her country. So it's also a coming of age film, and the girl in the movie, which is Farha, she came of age, and I think that a lot of people should watch it because it raises awareness of what's happening in Palestine.
Thank you, Karim. Appreciate that. Amber, can we hear your 140 character or less pitch, or less or more?
Yeah, mine is not nearly as socially important as that, but it's only 90 minutes of your life. It'll make you feel all the feels. Hopefully you'll relate to it. And we worked really hard on it.
Great.
That's it.
Demetrius.
Sweet. So everyone should go and watch the Panthers TV series because it is a New Zealand film, something a little bit international for you. And it's set in the 1970s and surrounds, the racial issues that Polynesians faced in New Zealand. And I'm just assuming for, everyone sort of on that side of the world, it would be, something new to watch. And the Panthers was inspired by the Black Panthers over in America. So we sort of took that idea and created the Polynesian Panthers to fight the same fight that a lot of, people around the world were fighting at the same time. So get amongst it, guys.
That's great. Thank you. And Aruj, why should we see the quickening, sorry?
Why you should see it? Probably because if you've ever felt alone and that you've never fit in somewhere, just know that you're not, because that's all I do throughout the movie is find my place. So I guess it's like a coming of age movie too. It's about a girl, Sheila, who's trying to figure herself out. It's just a story about her. And you get to see me cry a lot and not smile as much. So maybe you're gonna like seeing me be really serious and emotional. So go watch Quickening.
Great, thank you. And then Emma, Thomas, we'll have competing pitches here. Emma, we'll start with you. Oh, you're on mute again.
Did Jaden go? Jaden's like, no, go. You want to go?
No, I said you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, in the gist, the story is about a jazz musician who's haunted by his past, and he tries to avoid that past, of which Selma, Emma's character, is a major part of. And the more he avoids his past, the more his past starts to bleed into his present, and it forces him to face his inadequacies and faults. and it's an intimate tale. It's a poetic tale. There's a lot of music. There's music that's been composed. Actually, all the music has been composed specifically for this film.
Yeah.
And Emma sings in it. So
Yes.
that's a reason enough.
That was gonna be my end of the pitch. The music is incredible. The artists that are involved, Bad Bad Not Good, Tika, Megan DeLima, Canadian artists, and also the way you see Toronto in the film is also incredible. So go see it.
Okay, that's great, Jaden. We got a minute left. Give us the Colin in Black and White pitch.
You're on.
Go watch Colin in Black and White because it's about finding yourself, finding your place in the world. It's about learning how to be strong, how to stand up for yourself. It's about learning who you are, how important it is to have your voice heard and to try and stand up for other people. It's a beautiful story, and I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's a beautiful story. So yeah, go watch it.
That's great, everyone. That's all the time we have with our TIFF 2021 Rising Stars. To Jaden, Karim, Demetrius, Amber, Thomas, Emma, Aruj, and Philip, who had to leave early. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we wish you all the best with your projects coming out and your bright future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congrats, everyone.
Thank you. Congrats, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.